It's the kind of moment that slips quietly into the hearts of fans, the kind that makes you rewind a clip again and again, not because something big happened, but because something small did. And sometimes, it's the smallest gestures that speak the loudest. What you're about to hear isn't a tale of red carpets or grand confessions. It's about a quiet gesture, subtle movement, a fraction of a second caught on camera that many people would have missed if they weren't looking closely enough. But fans were looking. Fans always are. And when Lee Min-ho's quiet gesture toward Song Hye-kyo surfaced, it sent a ripple through the fandom that words alone could barely contain. It all began with what seemed like an ordinary public appearance. Nothing about the setting screamed romance. There were no roses, no hand-holding staged for photographers, no dramatic eye contact meant to fuel headlines. It was a professional environment, the kind both Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo have navigated effortlessly for years. Cameras were rolling, flashes were popping, and everyone was doing what they always do in front of the public eye. Smiling politely, standing correctly, behaving as expected. But then there was that moment. Some fans say they noticed it immediately. Others only saw it after someone slowed the footage down, zoomed in, and replayed it several times. Lee Min-ho shifts slightly. Song Hye-kyo pauses just for a breath. And in that pause, something happens that feels deeply human and profoundly intentional. No words were exchanged that the microphones could catch. No grand movement demanded attention. Instead, it was a gesture so gentle, so instinctive, that it almost felt like it wasn't meant to be seen at all. And that's precisely why it struck such a chord. Was it the way he subtly positioned himself closer? Not enough to be obvious, but enough to create a sense of quiet protection. Was it the way his hand moved, not touching hers, but hovering just near enough to suggest awareness, care, presence? Or was it the way his eyes flicked toward her for just a second longer than necessary, as if silently asking, "Are you okay?" Lovely viewers, this is where the magic lies. Because the camera didn't capture a performance, captured instinct. Fans began dissecting the clip with the kind of attention only devoted admirers can muster. Comment sections filled with timestamps, slow-motion edits, and emotional reactions. "Did you see that?" one fan asked. "The way he adjusted his stance when she stepped back?" Another wrote, "That wasn't for the cameras. That was real." What made the moment even more powerful was Song Hye-kyo's response. She didn't look surprised. She didn't look startled. Instead, there was a softening, a barely there smile that appeared and vanished just as quickly. The kind of smile you don't put on for the world, but one that slips out when you feel understood. And suddenly, everyone was talking about it. Not in the loud, scandal-hungry way the internet often does, but in hushed tones, as if fans instinctively knew this was something fragile. Something private that had accidentally wandered into the public eye. Some viewers shared personal stories, saying the gesture reminded them of moments in their own lives. A partner standing a little closer in a crowded room. A silent check-in during an overwhelming event. Proof that love or care, or deep respect doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it simply shows up. Others speculated endlessly. Was this a sign of something deeper? A continuation of a bond that fans have long believed exists beyond what's publicly acknowledged? Or was it simply two seasoned professionals who share a profound mutual respect, instinctively looking out for one another? The beauty of the moment is that it doesn't demand an answer. Lee Min-ho has always been known for his composed exterior. He carries himself with a calm confidence that rarely cracks, even under intense scrutiny. Song Hye-kyo, on the other hand, radiates a quiet strength, a kind of grace that feels effortless but is clearly earned through years of experience. When two people like that share a moment so unguarded, it feels significant. What struck many fans was how natural it looked. There was no hesitation, no self-consciousness. His gesture didn't say, "Look at me." It said, "I see you." And in a world where public figures are constantly performing, that kind of authenticity feels almost revolutionary. As the clip continued to circulate, reactions grew more emotional. Some fans admitted they felt unexpectedly moved, even teary. "I don't know why this affected me so much," one comment read, "but it felt like watching something very real." Others praised Lee Min-ho for what they saw as quiet emotional intelligence. "Anyone can make a grand gesture when everyone's watching," a viewer wrote. "But this was instinct. This was care." And then there were those who focused on Song Hye-kyo's body language. The way her shoulders seemed to relax. The way she didn't pull away or shift uncomfortably. Instead she stayed. She leaned slightly into the shared space, as if acknowledging the support without needing to say a word. Lovely viewers, this is where interactive reflection comes in. Think about the moments in your own life that mattered most. How many of them were loud and dramatic? And how many were quiet, almost invisible to anyone else, but unforgettable to you? That's why this moment resonated so deeply. It reminded people that connection doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. As days passed, the conversation evolved. Fans began revisiting past interactions between the two stars, searching for similar patterns. A glance here. Subtle shift there. Moments that once seemed insignificant suddenly felt charged with new meaning. Whether these interpretations are romantic, platonic, or simply hopeful projections, they reveal something important about the audience itself. People want to believe in gentle love, in respectful care, in the idea that two people can look out for each other without needing to turn it into a spectacle. Interestingly, neither Lee Min-ho nor Song Hye-kyo addressed the moment publicly. No interviews clarified it. No statements dismissed it. And that silence only added to the power of the gesture. It was allowed to exist on its own terms, unlabeled and undefined. Some fans saw that silence as confirmation. Others saw it as a sign of professionalism. But many appreciated it simply as restraint. In an era where everything is explained, monetized, and dissected, allowing a moment to just be felt is rare. The clip continues to resurface, especially when fans need something soft to hold on to. It's shared not with sensational captions, but with words like gentle, beautiful, and this made my day. And perhaps that's the lasting impact of Lee Min-ho's quiet gesture to Song Hye-kyo. Didn't create chaos, created comfort. Lovely viewers, as you reflect on this moment, ask yourself what you saw when you watched it. Did you see romance, friendship, respect, or simply two humans navigating a shared space with kindness? There's no wrong answer, because the true power of the gesture lies not in what it proves, but in what it evokes. It reminds us that even under the harshest lights, surrounded by cameras and expectations, it's still possible to act from instinct rather than image, to offer support without announcement, to care without claiming credit. After the clip stopped circulating as breaking news, and began living quietly on fan pages, something interesting happened. The conversation didn't die down. Instead, it softened, deepened. Fans stopped asking only, "What does it mean?" and started asking, "Why does it feel like this?" And that question opened an entirely new emotional door. People began to rewatch the clip not with curiosity, but with comfort. It became one of those videos fans returned to late at night, during breaks, or when they needed a reminder that tenderness still exists even in highly controlled public spaces. That alone says so much. Because moments that are purely performative rarely age well. They burn bright and fade fast. But this one stayed. Many viewers noticed details they had missed before. The timing of the gesture. The fact that it happened during a brief lull, not during a highlight moment. The way Lee Min-ho didn't look around to see who might be watching before he moved. His body reacted first. His awareness already tuned to Song Hye-kyo's presence, as if checking in on her was second nature. And then there was the aftermath within the same frame. What happened immediately after is subtle, but incredibly telling. There was no awkward adjustment. No visible realization of, "Oh, we're on camera." Instead, both of them simply continued. That continuity suggested something important. Whatever passed between them felt normal to them, even if it felt extraordinary to everyone else. Lovely viewers, pause for a moment and think about that. How often do we see celebrities freeze, correct themselves, or overcompensate the moment they realize they've done something too personal in public. That didn't happen here. And that's why this moment refuses to be forgotten. As fan edits grew longer and more detailed, some began pairing the clip with older footage. Interviews where Lee Min-ho spoke about comfort and trust without naming names. Past moments where Song Hye-kyo mentioned the importance of feeling safe in silence. Suddenly, this small gesture seemed to echo things they had said years apart, as if actions had finally caught up with words. And still neither of them spoke. That silence became a canvas onto which fans projected not just romance, but values, respect, emotional maturity, the kind of connection that doesn't need constant validation. For many viewers, especially those who have grown tired of exaggerated celebrity narratives, this felt refreshing, felt grown. Some fans openly admitted that the gesture healed something unexpected in them. They wrote about relationships where they wished someone had noticed them the way Lee Min-ho noticed Song Hye-kyo in that moment. Others talked about learning to appreciate quieter expressions of care in their own lives. "I used to think love had to be loud," one viewer commented, "but this reminded me that real care is often calm." And that's where the inclusivity of this moment truly shines. It wasn't about labeling their relationship. It wasn't about forcing a storyline. It allowed every viewer, regardless of age, background, or personal experience, to see themselves reflected in it. Some saw a partner. Some saw a friend. Some saw a colleague being considerate. All of those interpretations were valid. As days turned into weeks, the clip became something of a reference point. Whenever discussions about genuine celebrity behavior arose, someone would bring it up. "Remember that moment," they'd say. And everyone knew exactly which one they meant. Interestingly, even industry insiders began subtly acknowledging it. Without naming names, conversations about professionalism and emotional awareness in public settings seemed to increase. As if this single, quiet gesture had set a new, unspoken standard. Not for romance but for humanity. Lovely viewers, let's reflect together again. In a world that constantly demands proof, announcements, and confirmations, why did this moment feel so complete without any of those things? Perhaps because it didn't ask for belief. Simply existed. Song Hye-kyo's presence in the moment also deserves deeper appreciation. Her response wasn't dramatic. She didn't turn it into something bigger than it was. Her acceptance of the gesture felt equal, balanced, dignified. There was no power imbalance, no spotlight stealing. Just mutual understanding. That mutuality is what made the gesture feel inclusive rather than possessive. It didn't say, "You belong to me." It said, "You're not alone here." And that distinction matters deeply, especially to viewers who value independence alongside connection. As time passed, some fans worried the moment would be overshadowed by louder news cycles. But instead of disappearing, it quietly integrated itself into the larger narrative surrounding both stars. Whenever Lee Min-ho appeared in new footage, people watched his body language more closely. Whenever Song Hye-kyo spoke about comfort or trust, the clip resurfaced again, as if nodding in agreement. Yet, nothing else quite matched that exact combination of timing, restraint, and sincerity. And maybe that's why it remains untouched. Not replicated, not escalated, stands alone. Lovely viewers, if you're still here, I invite you to do something simple but meaningful. Think of one quiet gesture in your own life that stayed with you longer than any big event. Look, pause. Someone adjusting their pace to match yours. Someone noticing when you didn't ask to be noticed. That's the emotional space this moment lives in. It teaches us that being seen doesn't always require words. That care doesn't need permission. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer someone is awareness. And perhaps, that's the legacy of Lee Min-ho's quiet gesture to Song Hye-kyo. Not as proof of a relationship. Not as fuel for speculation. But as a reminder. A reminder that gentleness still has a place, even under bright lights. That respect can be instinctive. And that the smallest actions, when they come from a genuine place, can ripple outward in ways we never expect. So as we close this continuation together, lovely viewers, I ask you one final interactive question. When you think back on this moment now, after sitting with it longer, what does it mean to you? Because as we move forward from that quiet reflection, the meaning of this moment doesn't fade. It expands. It stretches into places we didn't expect, touching not only how we see Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo, but how we understand connection itself in a world that rarely slows down enough to notice it. After fans had time to sit with the clip, something subtle but powerful began to happen. The excitement transformed into stewardship. People started treating the moment with care, almost protectively. Instead of sensational thumbnails or exaggerated captions, many chose softer language, slower edits, and thoughtful commentary. It was as if the fandom collectively decided this moment deserved gentleness in return. That response alone speaks volumes. Because audiences don't react that way to everything. They reacted that way because the gesture felt sincere, and sincerity invites responsibility. It asks us not to exploit it, but to honor it. As the weeks went on, more conversations emerged around emotional presence. Viewers began sharing how rare it is to see someone so attuned to another person's comfort without making it about themselves. Lee Min-ho's gesture wasn't framed as heroic or romantic by those who truly understood it. Instead, it was seen as considerate. And that distinction changed the tone of the entire discussion. Consider this, lovely viewers. In many public narratives, especially involving celebrities, gestures are often interpreted through the lens of ownership or performance. But here, the overwhelming reaction wasn't "he claimed her" or "he showed her off." It was "he noticed her." That shift matters more than we might realize. And Song Hye-kyo's role in this continues to deepen the meaning. Her calm acceptance, her lack of dramatization, her grounded presence, all of it reinforced that this was not about spectacle. She didn't need to validate the moment outwardly because it already felt complete inwardly. That kind of mutual understanding can only exist when two people trust each other's boundaries. Fans who had followed both of their careers for years pointed out how consistent this moment felt with who they are individually. Lee Min-ho has often been described by colleagues as quietly attentive behind the scenes. Song Hye-kyo has long emphasized emotional safety and authenticity in her personal philosophy. When those two qualities met in one unscripted second, it felt less like a surprise and more like a quiet alignment. And yet, alignment doesn't require labels. That's another reason this moment continues to resonate so deeply. It doesn't force a narrative. It doesn't demand belief in romance or deny it. It simply exists in a space where multiple truths can coexist. Some viewers see love. Some see deep respect. Some see a reflection of a bond they wish existed more often in the world. All of these interpretations are welcome. This inclusivity is what allows the moment to grow rather than shrink over time. Lovely viewers, have you noticed how some moments lose their magic once they're explained too much? This one never was. It was allowed to remain open-ended, and in doing so, it became personal, became adaptable, became yours. As newer fans discovered the clip months later, their reactions mirrored the original ones almost exactly. Surprise, toughness, pause. And then that same sentence repeated across languages and cultures. There was something real about that. Realness transcends context. Even people who weren't deeply invested in either star found themselves drawn in. They didn't need background knowledge or history to feel it. That's because the gesture didn't rely on fame. It relied on empathy. And empathy is universal. Over time, the clip began appearing in broader discussions, not just about celebrity culture, but about emotional intelligence. People used it as an example of how support doesn't have to interrupt, dominate, or announce itself. How presence can be offered quietly, respectfully, and without expectation.